what's up, everyone? I'm Joe Swift. Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk with Swift. On today's episode, we have a special guest, Stephen E. Kimbrough. He's a podcast specialist, audio engineer, movie producer. He does a lot. Welcome, Steve. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here. How are you?
I'm good, good.
Good,
So
good, good.
I know you was just setting up a few minutes ago. You have a lot of gear behind you, you know. So just tell my fans and the audience a little bit about yourself, what you do, how you got started.
Well, I got started in the industry as a DJ in high school, and I rolled into college DJing, and I used to throw these huge campus parties back in the day when the Animal House movies was out. That was
Oh
literally our
wow.
culture. So we're the original Animal House frat party and originators. And so I used to DJ a lot of those parties, and they were a lot of fun. And I was on the microphone, keeping it fun, keeping it light, keeping it fresh. And I found out that I was really comfortable on the microphone, which is how I rolled into stand-up comedy. And I was a comedian for 30 something years, which I still am. But that through my many years of doing stand-up led me to the John Lovitz Podcast Theater at Universal City Walk in Universal, California. And from there, I learned like this entire new world about podcasting like 10, 15 years ago. And I've been involved in social media and live streaming and, things that have to do with the internet from the very beginning. So I can remember when Apple first launched their iPods, and
Hmm.
basically it was a little device that allowed you to listen to music that was on iTunes. And then they allowed you to actually make your own recordings that you could upload onto the iTunes platform, and you could have your own little podcast. And that's where podcast originated from, was iTunes inventing a little, well, Apple inventing a little device called the iPod, and the iPod is how you can listen to your music, and then you can record your podcasts on there. And Kevin Smith got on it really early,
Hmm.
and he became one of the pioneers. He and Adam Carolla was one of the two biggest pod guys, the podcast guys, right from the very beginning.
So though they created the podcast, what we call
Yeah,
podcast today.
exactly.
Have a
They
little
they
tech
kind of took their
difficulties.
platforms and their radio shows, and they moved it over to the podcast platform, and they just blew up like crazy. And I can remember Kevin Smith would have a packed show at the John Lovitz Podcast Theater, and people would just sit there and watch him do his live podcast. And he had, I don't know, maybe close to 200,000 followers. And
Mm.
back then, he had a membership. He had a monthly membership of like $4.95 times 500,000 people every month. I mean, he was killing it.
Just to listen
So
to the
it was amazing
podcast.
just to listen to the podcast. Yep.
Wow.
You had it behind a paywall, and if you want to listen to it, you had to be a subscriber, and and it was awesome. That's where I learned all my podcast chops, by watching, um, Frank Garvey and Kevin Smith and Adam Carolla and Frank and Heidi and John Lovitz, and a bunch of celebrities coming through doing their thing. And so the Pod Brother was born at the John Lovitz Podcast Theater back in 2009, 2010. So I've been on the game ever since, and now I have my own network, and I'm
Mm.
engineering some other talents podcast, and I'm at this wonderful multi-million-dollar studio here in Canoga Park, and we're producing podcasts here, and it's been a fun, interesting ride, and I just love it. And people will always ask me how did I get the Pod Brother name? Well, my
Yeah.
last name is
How did you get the
Kimbrough.
name? Okay.
Yeah, everybody knows me as Kimbrough or K-Bro or some derivative of bro. And so I was doing my podcast and I hadn't had a name for it yet. And I was at the John Lovitz Podcast Theater, and John Lovitz coined himself as the Pod Father. So if he's
Wow.
the Pod Father,
Podfather.
then, so he's the Pod Father of podcast. And so I do my show. The MC introduces me as K-Bro.
Mhm.
And, I had a bunch of guests on. I did stand up. I had video clips and comedy. It was a pretty cool show. It had a lot of, I had a projector on a big screen. So I was projecting the show above our heads on
That's big
stage.
time back then. Even now.
Yeah, big time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was huge, huge. And it was the coolest thing ever, man. I really felt like a rock star at Universal, rubbing elbows with these celebrities. And so I had a killer show. And this drunk guy who was sitting in the audience, came up to me, he's like, dude, like, your pod bro shit was awesome. I
Yeah.
was like, and he turns around, he's like, this is the pod brother, and I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good.
Good name, yeah. So you got
So
the domain name and everything.
a little alcohol mixed in with my name. This dude came up with Pod Brother. So I had my phone and I just went on my phone and I looked up to see if the podbrother.com was available, and it was. Obviously, back in the day, like 1,000 podcasts, 1,000 domain names were available back then. I wish I was smart enough to grab a few. I could have sold them for $20,000 today, but
Wow. Yeah.
who knew?
Yeah.
So it was available, and so that next day I built the Pod Brother website, and then I started doing my shows, and then I started building a little bit of a following, and I always would leverage, John Lovitz being a pod father against me being the pod brother, and I'm the black sheep of the pod family, and so I make a lot of jokes about it, and it became my brand. And now there are people all over the world that I've done my shows at. They don't know my name. They only know me as the Pod Brother. I'll be walking down the mall and somebody will be in a car yelling, "Hey, Pod Brother!"
Wow.
And it's like,
that's your brand, yeah.
It's my brand. So, I went out and had some, stick with the Pod Brother T-shirts made.
Oh, you got T-shirts too. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold that up. Hold that up. All right. Got you full screen. It? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, and which tells my whole story as a comedian, leading into doing podcasting, leading into doing a bunch of other stuff.
Well, I'm assuming you said your comedian work came first many years ago.
Well, the DJ came first.
Oh,
the comedy came second. And then the film and TV kind of came third. The podcast came fourth. And then the movie festivals and the big screens and the giant screen, the inflatable screen film festival is like the last thing I'm doing. So I always try to incorporate everything that I've done in my previous chapters into what I'm doing now, so that I can stay relative.
Me too.
and I can stay. So I don't really do things outside of the wheelhouse of the trades and skills and talents that I want to evolve to the next thing. So, if it doesn't fit into the wheelhouse of what I'm doing, then I don't do it.
Okay. So you won't be
unless it's a friend and it's a favor. Yeah, no food stand, no cooking shows, no. I'm not going to start like a finance business and be a financial advisor. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. Plumbing, construction.
Gotcha.
If it's not DJing, doing comedy, doing a podcast, sponsorship, or making movies, or editing, or distributing content on a giant screen as a film festival, then I'm not interested.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you, being that you've seen podcasts from the beginning, what do you think of the transition from where it started to where it's at now? Like, so many people are doing podcasts. What do you think of it from a equipment standpoint and just from people getting in?
I think it's great. Anytime there's an evolution where what you're doing turns a little more mainstream,
Hmm.
that's not a bad thing, especially if you've been in it from the beginning. Um, you know, People will often ask me, it's like, okay, wait a minute, isn't a podcast like on a iPod? Like, what exactly is it that you do, and what is a podcast? So I tell them that my podcast is internet radio you can watch,
Yeah.
because it has evolved into live streaming your podcast with videos as well. It
Yes.
used to be just an audio thing
Yeah.
on your
Audio
little
only.
iPod, and that was it. And then all of a sudden, the internet and the bandwidth and the technology and the devices evolved to where we could actually start streaming video online. Once that happened, the evolution of doing a video stream with your podcast is now the new norm,
Yeah.
as far as,
Filming
which
your
is kind of what,
podcast. Yeah.
yeah.
Forward.
And people try to like reinvent it or rename it. It's like, well, it's not a podcast anymore. It's a vidcast, or
Vidcast.
a video oddcast, or a video pod, or whatever. Like, everybody's trying to come up with like, and
The
at the
next
end of the
name. Yeah.
day, yeah, we're all familiar with a podcast. So, just because we are adding streaming video to it doesn't mean that it's not a podcast. So now all your video stream uh, shows are considered podcast, even though it originally started as an audio and now as
Hmm.
a video. People can accept that, okay, a video live stream show is still a podcast. And
Yeah.
you can still pull the audio from those shows and put them up on the audio only podcast platforms. So you can still, have a presence on just the audio only podcast platforms, as well as the live streaming platform. But I am really very, very impressed with how fast the technology is evolving, that allows you not only to stream your shows, to stream them live, to capture them, to archive them,
Yeah. Me too.
um, to rebroadcast cast them, do replays on multiple platforms. And I am looking into the video on demand, because I
That's
want
the
to now
next thing for
start
you.
selling. That's the next thing
Okay.
for me, because as a drive-in film festival, I'm doing an international call for films. So you only have so many spots you can screen films, but you
Hmm.
might get hundreds of really good films that
Oh, your audio broke
to
up a little bit.
distribute those
Oh, the video.
films through some. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Am I
we
back?
lost you. Yeah, we lost you for a second. You're back.
Yeah, I got the weak Wi-Fi here. Looks like.
Yeah, it's all right.
Um,
Continue.
yeah, yeah. Um, so if you have the opportunity to do a call for international films, you can get a ton of some amazing films. And if you have an opportunity to distribute them on your video on demand platform, then you got a chance of really making some really nice money, but being able to aggregate a ton of some amazing content. So I started looking into that. And the cool thing about it is it's still relatively a new market, a new frontier. There's
Hmm.
still a lot of evolution involved with that. And the companies that are doing it are still jockeying to try to offer the best way to do it. So they're adding a bunch of amenities on it, on how to make campaigns and how to build websites, and really cool like store page designs.
So is that
It's,
similar to Netflix slash Amazon, or it's a
yep,
different?
yep,
Yeah, yeah.
yep. It's exactly that. It's a Netflix that you can get your hands on,
Your own version
and
of it.
your own version of it. Yes.
Okay.
So I have my own version of Netflix, and the platform that I'm using right now is Kartra, Kartra. And I looked at quite a few platforms, and there's a couple of
Hmm.
the platforms that I'm going to use as well, because I
Okay.
found them interesting and I like them. But I want to learn a little bit more before I talk too much about them. But the one that I
Okay.
went That's my starter kit. Um, allows me 50 gigs of film, and it allows me to do some campaigns, and I have limited data, a database that I can build. And I really, really, really am very excited about it because I've already gotten several films that have been submitted to my drive-in movie theater
Oh, great. That's
outside
great.
of my film festival registrations, just by hearsay. Hey,
Mm.
I hear you're doing a film festival with the outdoor movie screens. Can you screen my film? And I'm like, yeah, let me look at it. And I'll send it to me. And it'll be an amazing film. Great story, great acting, great sound, music, the compositions, the color, the scenes, the cuts. It's like, it's amazing how serious people are taking their filmmaking, on the entry level, and it's just like, it's just a real cool thing. And some of them even have some C and B and D level actors in them. Uh,
Okay.
and, uh, and some recognizable faces and names. So it's cool to have people go, oh, I want to put my film in your film festival, and then yeah, let's work out a deal where we can distribute it on your pod brother Netflix.
Nice,
So
nice.
it's a super exciting time for me right now with building the drive-in movie theater business, building the drive-in movie theater film festival, and then you know, uh, building my own, you know, video on demand um, live stream subscription. And I could not be more excited. All this started from me spinning records in college for Animal House
Yeah, I
parties.
I understand. I kind of have a similar background.
Yeah.
Now with the movies that you play, how do you, from a technical standpoint, how do you go about getting the screens? Is a certain company you have to go to order these screens and put them up?
Yes, I have a couple of manufacturers around the country, but the ones that I use pretty much are here in Southern California. And I also have dealers and vendors and resellers that are way deeper in the dealer resale manufacturing game that I am, and I can tap into them
Okay.
as well. One of my favorite companies is VXP Experience. Been working with them for over 10 years now. And then there's a couple other companies. The company that I'm working with right now for my film festival is Late Night Drive-In Movie Theaters. They have movie nights at Marine
I'll say that one more time. I didn't get
Friday,
you.
Saturdays, and they also have Del Rey and on
Where at
Friday and
again?
Saturdays,
Say that one more
Marina
time.
Del Rey,
Okay.
Marina Del Rey. And then they have a screen at the Andes in Hollywood on Sunset Strip. So we get to be on the Sunset Strip, which gives us a lot of juice and accolades. And it's
Yeah,
very cool,
definitely.
very sexy, very Hollywood.
And the weather is nice out there too, unlike out here with the
The weather,
snow.
the weather is
Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah. So I have several partners and vendors and manufacturers that I work with. So I'm primarily a film festival that can lease, rent, and sell screens as well. But that's not my core business as much as my film festivals and my
okay.
online distribution. So that's just something that the opportunity is there for me, and I have the vendors and resellers and manufacturers that I work with that I trust, who have been in the biz for 20 years. And so whenever I need to do a deal, then I
Contact
have,
them.
I have the contact, I have trustworthy businesses and professionals, and who can, provide those products and services for me. Um,
That's great.
but as you know, there's only so much time in the day, and just trying to bring a film festival to life is
That's a whole
a
job.
24-hour
Yeah.
job. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no time left to sell screens. So I leave that to some of the other guys. But I still sell, and I still will rent. I just ordered a 50-foot screen for one of my clients, and So I'm going to take that puppy for a test spin on my film festival before I let it go.
Now these screens,
So,
what type of quality would you say they are? Is it HD, 4K? Like where are we with that type of technology?
well, the technology is in the projector as far as that goes. The screen, the quality of the screen are very durable screens. So if you've seen the jump houses that the kids
Yes.
can
Yeah.
jump around on, and they have water sports on them as well. And so the blow up screens are made of those materials. And the movie screen is made of like several different types of movie screen material that
Yeah.
is breathable and is a little bit translucent, so you can project on reverse. So you
Mm.
can do reverse projection or you can do front projection because the screen is thin enough where you can see from either side. And the tubes are very durable, like jump house, um, like vinyl
Okay.
tubes that they stitch together. So this material is pretty strong, and
And
it's
kind of
it's
bolt it
also
down
breathable.
to the ground, like
Well,
with
we
wind,
stake it down.
stake
We
it down. Yeah.
we have stakes. So we drive stakes into the ground and we stake the thing down pretty secure. And if we can't drive stakes in the parking lot, we'll pull vehicles up and we'll just tie all the straps to a bunch of vehicles that we put around the screen to keep it secure.
Okay.
So so we always have a way to secure the film because out here it gets a little windy sometimes, and that thing will turn into a Macy's Day Parade if you don't like anchor it
And
down real
fly
solid.
away. Yeah, I was thinking about
Yeah,
that.
as 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 some people have learned, but it's it's a very amazing pop up type event that you can do. Um, it's very super COVID safe and COVID friendly, which is why this business has taken off, and my business that evolves around this has taken off.
Mm.
Because people roll up in their cars, they stay in their cars, they turn on the FM transmitter to 98.8 or 97.7, whichever band on the FM dial we choose for that screening, and then when it's over, you drive off. And so you don't have to worry about, being contagious or contaminating people. People roll in their pajamas and their snacks, and
Oh, nice.
they never get out of their car. They just they can just roll up, watch the movie, and then leave. So we
Being that
feel
it's
we feel we're
outdoor,
doing a
yeah, go ahead.
yeah we feel we're doing a solid service for people who have extreme cabin fever.
That's good. That's good. Being that it's outdoors, is the movies mainly seen in the evening when it's dark, I'm assuming, or can it be seen in the daytime?
Yes, yes, yeah. No, we don't have strong enough projectors to project, in direct sunlight. So it needs to be like dark o'clock,
Mm.
or at least sunset o'clock before we can start projecting, and then you start to be able to see the images as the sun goes down.
Yeah, I figured that.
So we really, literally, like right when the sun goes over the horizon is when you can actually see the images on the screen, like decent enough from the back row. And then once it gets dark, then we roll the film.
And where do you put the projector? Like how far back is it? Is it on
It
a wood
depends. It depends on the
lens?
lens.
Okay.
So the lens will determine the distance in the throw. Because sometimes you're close and you got a wide angle lens, and sometimes you're farther away apart and you have more of uh, a longer lens, a longer throw.
Depends on the
So it just
location and setup.
yeah, in some areas, depending on fire lanes and trees and street lamps, you have to figure out if you want to do a short throw or a long throw, and you got to switch out your lenses. Um, then there's all these other factors that come into play that will allow you to figure that out. But
Mm.
normally, you're about 50 to 70 feet from the screen
Okay.
is kind of the ideal. You want at least like a 12 lumen projector, 12,000 lumens or more.
That's the
The more
intensity of light.
lumens you have, Yes, that's the amount of candles.
Okay.
So you want 12,000 candles, basically, to put it in layman terms.
Hmm.
The more candles you have, the brighter the screen is, the brighter the light. Um, some of the bigger houses, the bigger drive-in movie theaters have, like 100,000 lumens,
Oh wow,
and they
that's
they
a lot.
and they might be like 500 feet back.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, you
so
need that
depending on how
power.
far back you are, how big the screen is, you got to have like a lot of light to project and get that on the screen. But for our screens, anything from like 14,000 lumens to 25,000 lumens is sufficient enough. Anything less than that starts to get a little thin
Hmm. It's
and
hard to see the
yeah,
movies.
hard to see, not as bright. We've stacked projectors as well. I mean, there was one event that we did for the Horror Fest at the Rose Bowl. There was 1,000 cars at $100 a car. We did two. Um, what was it? There were two 7,000 lumen projectors that we stacked on top of each other, and we had two screens. So we had four projectors,
Hmm.
and we stacked two, and then we had 40-foot screens because we had 1,000 cars, and we wanted to make sure that every car was able to see the movie. So we kind of
Cool.
put
Yeah.
two screens out there,
How does sound
and
work? The audio.
sound is beautiful. It's the sound is as good as your FM radio car system. So
Okay.
if you've got a bump-in Tesla, sound system, if you got 8.1 surround sound in your car, then you're gonna hear it in 8.1 surround sound. It just all depends on how good your own sound system is. So if you got a little hand transistor radio
Mhm.
with the earbuds, then it's going to be a little scratchy. But if you got a nice system, it's going to sound nice.
Okay, that's good. And
Yeah.
in terms of like when it rains, what happens? Are you able to do the movie or no?
No, no, because we have a lot of electronics out there, and we're not rainproof.
Mhm.
So when it rains, we cancel.
Okay.
And since it only rains out here 14 days a year,
Oh,
we
so you're
never
good.
cancel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So where you live in the summertime, there is a rain factor, and you got to consider that.
Yes.
And you got to you got to treat it like you would treat every outdoor electronic event
Hmm.
with the anticipation of it could rain. So your rubber fence and all of your covering and your instant access to covering so that you can cover up real quick when you know it's going to rain. So there is a rain contingency depending on where you are that most people already have when they do an outdoor concert or an outdoor movie event or an outdoor electrical event. They usually have their own contingencies on how they operate that. But for us out here in California, in dry land, we basically, you know, we don't have any rain contingency because it never ever rains. We do have winds,
Yeah.
and we anchor down for the winds, and if it's too much, we'll like deflate it and let the winds kind of die down, and then we'll blow it back up if the wind dies. Um, but that's usually in the wintertime. In the summertime,
You're
it's
good.
pretty
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah,
That's one of the benefits of living out there as opposed to the
yeah,
East Coast.
yeah.
Yeah.
I I, I love it out here, because I'm from Chicago,
Oh yeah, it's
and
horrible in
so
terms of weather.
I was raised on that weather, and then I moved to New York, so I was really used to that weather because the Midwest Arctic jet stream is way worse than anything New York can throw at you.
Oh wow.
So, like all the worst New York storms and weathers was like a cakewalk for me because I'm like, you guys don't have, uh, you know, 4, 5, 6 feet of snow with 30 below winds.
No, no. Thank
So this
goodness.
this is a cakewalk. And then And then I ended up out in California, and so now I'm loving it because I've come from such extreme weathers to be out here where it's nice. I appreciate it way more than a Californian.
Hmm. I got you. Got you.
Yeah, you're
So
gonna have to come out and see me, man. You're gonna love it out here.
yeah, definitely. I was out there twice in I think 2017, 2018 for the BET Awards, but I didn't know you back then. But next time, whenever I'm able to travel, definitely gonna come out there and check out your stuff. Check out the
Yeah,
promotions.
I did the gifting suite for the BET Awards.
Oh, you did?
One of those. Yeah. What years were you out?
I believe it was 2017 and 2018. I was out there.
No, I think I did my thing 2016.
Okay.
Maybe it was 2015. It was 2015 or 2016. I was videotaping the gifting suite for the BET Awards.
So you were hired by them, or you was free? How does
I
that
was
work?
hired by the producer of the gifting suite,
Hmm.
and they basically got a bunch of sponsors to give away, goodie bags of stuff for the celebrities that come through. So it was a celebrity access only kind of thing,
Okay.
and some of the gifts were like really cool, like iPhones and iPads and cameras and some really cool stuff for like the A-list people.
Yeah, they get all
The B-list
the high
people,
end stuff for free.
the high-end stuff, it was amazing. Some of this high-end stuff, I was like, whoa, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then the B-list people got the cases for the cameras.
Uh, Still better than
They
nothing,
got
but you get actually getting a
they got the
phone.
phone case. They didn't actually get the phone. They got the phone cases.
Hopefully, it's like one of those $80, $90 out of boxes, whatever they're called, those type of
Right?
cases.
Yeah.
But that was good. That's a good experience. I haven't yet been able to film those stuff. I have taken pictures on red carpets, like the BET Awards, but
It was pretty fun. I got
yeah.
some good pictures of some cool people. I got Spike Lee at the table for almost 5 minutes, just
Mm,
going over like bags and stuff, and um, yeah, it was pretty fun.
mm,
It was cool.
yeah. Well, I want to bring it back to podcasting. Right now, what type of equipment do you use for podcasts?
Well,
What does
I
it
have
change up?
here, yeah. Um, I'm using one of the workhorses for the microphones, which is the
The
Shure
Shure.
7B.
Yes.
Yeah, this
I keep
thing
hearing about
here.
that one.
Yeah, this is the workhorse. I love this thing. And I got a little table stand that I use that, I can adjust it a little bit taller if I need to. It telescopes up, just loosen this up,
Mm,
and then, you can telescope it up and down,
okay.
depending on the size of your table or what you want to do. I also have a table that I can put this on and I can extend it out, kind of like what you see at the radio stations.
Yeah, I have one of
So
those.
So that's one of my go-tos. I also love using the Shure field hand mic. This is great for when you are out in the field and you're, like if you get a chance to interview the quarterback on the Super Bowl and there's all this crazy sound.
Mm,
The studio mic is going to be too sensitive for that. It picks up everything, picks up a cricket farting in the corner. But
yeah.
this mic here allows you to just get what's in front of it, and then all the crazy noise, gets condensed out, which is nice. So this is great for indoors and out. This is also my stand-up comedy mic. So as you can
Okay.
see, it's got some miles on it. This
Yeah.
mic
Some
has
wear and
seen
tear. Yeah.
thousands of shows and it's still amazing. This is like a workout. This is the Sennheiser. It's not the one with the switch on it. This is the one that
Yeah.
you
I seen
plug
that one.
in and
Yeah.
it's hot 24/7. And then um, this little mixer here, this thing has seen like a ton of shows, a ton of work.
Was that a
You know,
Behringer mixer?
it's a Behringer mixer that is, one of those little USBs. Okay, so you plug that into your laptop, and then you have like a couple of RCA outs or RCA ins, and you have an RCA out, and then you have like your headphones, like right here, and you've got an extra mic that you can plug in, and
Yeah, I
then you've
see.
got, your equalizer for your microphone, and then you have your equalizer for if you want to bring in some music. So when I'm DJing and I want to do like a DJ show, I'll plug it into this little mixer here, and then I'm allowed to, I can spin and I can talk at the same time. I can also pull in some additional audio sources into this bad boy. And this thing is a workhorse. I mean, I've dropped it 100 times. This is the,
And I see
it's just an amazing thing.
you have a few PTZ cameras behind you as well. Do you use that for your
Yeah,
shows?
I do. I have this. I have the cam here, what we're using in my laptop, which I kind of use that for the run and gun. But I also like have one of these little mini cams that I use. This is basically like the cheapie that you can buy just to, you can clip it on your thing. I like using it because I like to sometimes just take it and just point at things and
Yeah, it's
show
easy.
stuff.
Yeah, it's
And
easy to
then,
do that.
you don't have the big camera where you're trying to the big clunky thing. You can just, like, if you're demonstrating something on a keyboard, you can like do that. Or if you're trying to, show a little close up of these knobs, you can take this, basically this handheld cam, and you can do that.
It's like a product camera
But
almost.
it is, it's like a
Yeah.
prop camera. And then I have, um, an iPhone head that's put on a tripod, and I will often do run and gun shows where I'll just go right straight from my iPad,
Yeah.
and I'll be able to just like, just do my thing here. And I got like quick releases and be like, hey, what's up, everybody? It's the pod, brother. Right straight from my phone. I don't have time to be in the studio and get the whole thing set up. So, I can do kind of like this thing, which I like. And then
That's a
I
nice
also
setup too.
have, my iPad, which I also can attach to this. Just
Oops.
dropped half my stuff.
It's not a good
Let me
sound.
just put this down here. I told you I dropped this thing all the time. I dropped it 100 times, so that was 101. You know, and the thing is still working hard. This thing is a tank, man. So I highly
Got your
would
money's
suggest
worth.
you get, yeah, and it's really super cheap. That was only like $99.
Yeah, it's
You know,
not bad in terms of
like
mixer
100 years
prices.
ago. And then I also will do shows from my iPad.
Okay. You got the keyboard as well.
Is I will just attachable keyboard. So, if I want to put something together, if I just want to take this off and do it, and then I can, I have a setup where I can rig this to this iPhone head, so I can do my show with my iPad. I can do my show with my iPhone. I can do my show with the cam on a computer. But this bad boy here, this I love. This is a Sony PTZ. It comes with a remote control that
Mm-hmm.
allows you to do, the pan, zoom, tilt,
Yeah.
and it gives you a lot of great options in here. I wanted to have this thing up, but I got in here late and I didn't have time to set it up. I wanted to do this show through this so you could see it. But you basically can go in here with the remote control, and there's all kind of settings with the iris and the brightness, and you can do all kinds of different settings with
Yeah, with the
what you need.
PTZ.
But it has like a 220-degree
Okay.
radius on this bad boy. So it cranks all the way around to here, and then it comes all the way around to here. So if
How do
you're
you
doing a
control
show
it?
where you gotta with the remote control.
Oh, you have like a joystick, something like a video game system joystick?
Nope, it's
No.
just a little hand. It's a little handheld
Oh, like the
remote
remotes.
control, which basically looks something like this.
Oh, looks like a
And
TV
you
remote.
basically, like, there's a wheel. This is a TV remote, but I'm just using it as a prop.
Okay.
But basically, it's a remote control, something similar to this, and it allows you to really do all the zoom, tilt, zoom, pan, everything that you need to do with the camera, including all the settings that goes with it. And I have it on a nice little simple, easy, adjustable tripod. And I like to have a tripod where if I don't have enough range and I want to get, more 360, then I can just turn my tripod around and get the rest of what's going on over here, and then turn it and I can get the rest of what's going on over here. So I like putting it on like a tabletop tripod that I can use this to kind of get pretty much everything that I need. And
Yeah. I
then
wish
if
you
I
had
can
more
tilt
time
my
today to set up to show all that.
Yeah, if I can tilt my camera around too and show this. These are Panasonic PTZs.
The silver ones or gray?
Yes, these
Yeah.
here. Um, yeah, this is the remote control for the PTZ.
Okay.
So you can see you got the pan, tilt, zoom.
Yeah, I see all the
You
settings
got
on it.
all your adjustments. And then you got your little wheel that allows you to, and you can run up to 4 cameras on this one remote.
Okay, yeah, I see the
So
buttons. I see
if
1 through 3.
so if you have 4 cameras, you can just click the button that you want for which camera, and then you're good to go. These, I have 4 of these. I've got, you can't see this one here.
Yeah, we can see it in the
There's
back.
this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one is behind the camera that you can't see. All of those run off of a joist. Let's see if I can show you that.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
you see
that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
yeah. So the PTZs run off of that. So if I wanted to get sexy with 4 Panasonic PTZs, I can do that. And I've got a lot of really cool studio space here. So I can take these all apart, find a really cool space in the studio, set them all back up, and then I can do like a really cool show with multiple people with multiple cameras. And I've had everything going at once because I have a Roland 8-channel switcher, video switcher. It's the 4EX Roland 8-channel video switcher. So I've had all 4 PTZs plus the Sony and my all going with sources.
That's a lot right
So
there. That's a lot of.
I had social media up on my iPhones and my iPads, and then I had the PTZ cameras going, and I was switching back and forth like a crazy man, and it was really cool.
I have trouble just switching camera views with what I have here, and I'm still learning.
Well, you become octopus arms, and
Yeah.
mostly it's like in your head. You don't realize the mental gymnastics it takes to do that because you're trying to make the show have flow, so you want to pull the right device up at the right time and have it flow from one thing to the next. And then sometimes people are talking back and forth and you're trying to figure out who's talking, and so it's a little bit of some mental gymnastics, but once you do it, I'm never perfect at it, and I'm always a student with all this stuff. You're never the know-it-all. But it's very exciting to be in a place where every day you come, you can learn something, and it's just what you learn that day is amazing because you just added one more bullet to your arsenal of things you can do and things and you apply everything almost every day. It's amazing how that works. You learn it and you can use it.
You're right. You're right. I'm combining my DJ equipment stuff with the music. Mixed with the podcast, mixed with the web design and Photoshop and all that.
I've even patched in my GoPro into my shows.
Oh wow.
So to get that kind of, that fisheye wide angle complete room look, which depending on what room I'm in is really cool. Like if I'm in one of the big rooms,
Capture
then I'll
everything.
pull out my GoPro and it'll give me that fisheye wide angle.
Hmm.
And it's just like it just looks like I'm in this huge place, and it's very, very cool. Very cool. So I like using multiple devices to give you the look that it's informal.
Okay.
And we also have two out in the showroom. We have two really nice Panasonic 4K GH5s. So we can put those in the show as well to give you that nice look, like the look that you have right now,
Hmm.
with the focus. You're using a really nice, camera to get that shot. I can tell. So,
Yeah, I'm using
we
the
have two.
85.
Is that the Panasonic or
It's a Sony A7 III with the
the
85
Sony
millimeter,
A7 IIIs? Okay, yeah, yeah,
1.8.
yeah. It's a beautiful. You got a beautiful shot that you have going there,
Thank
and
you. Yeah.
so we have the ability to do that. Um, so yeah, I mean, I have access to shotgun mics, lavaliers. I have access to some Rode mics. I've got field mics between Pioneers, um, Sony's, Shure's, Sennheiser. So there's quite a few different types of, depending on what we want to do and how we want it to look. We have
Sounds like a
access to
B&H
all
over
that.
there.
Yeah, that's basically it. This is the end game of B&H because we got a
Yeah.
lot of money we spend on getting devices and stuff in here, which is cool.
Yeah, well, I know you all need it for the type of work you do. It's like it's a tool basically. You can't just use one tool for everything. Maybe the handheld mic is for this, like you said. Then the other mic that you had is for like a podcast or some type of show similar to that. So you can have multiple
Yeah,
mics.
because the different guests that we have come in, they want kind of a different look and feel. Some want to sit down Oprah Winfrey on the couch talk
Hmm.
with no headphones. So then we break out the lavaliers and we make more of a TV set, and we use the labs, or we might even do some shotguns in addition to the labs. But others want to look more like a sports broadcast where they have the microphone.
Yeah.
We even have we have those mic bugs that you can put on. Um, so some people will bring in their own logos and their
Yes.
own bugs. And what did I do with my microphone? I just had it in my hand. That's how things disappear real quick. Anyway, you take your microphone, you stick it right in here. You're like, and then you got. And a lot of people have their own like logos and stuff they can stick on this.
I seen the ones
So,
that have a screen on them too, like a LCD screen or LED.
oh yeah,
Those are
yeah.
fancy.
So we also, I got a black one, because sometimes people want the black one,
Hmm.
and that's a mystery. Where did I put that microphone?
What's in the mystery bag?
Oh, here it is. It dropped on the floor. I dropped this thing 100 times too, and it still works like a workhorse. So yeah, so you take your
Mic flag. You put it through the
your
mic.
station ID,
Hmm.
yep, and then put your little bug on there, your logo, and then so
Looks like
depending
the
on what they
news.
want, yeah, they might want a news, they might want sports, they might want like sock puppet with the. We also have a teleprompter. I don't know if you could see that in the background, but
Yeah,
some
I can
will
see
come
it from
in
here.
and yeah, segments of their show, they'll want to do like a teleprompter. So we'll do like an interview and then I can show
Hmm.
B-roll, but then they'll
Hmm.
have, like a rehearsed script that they want to they want to put on the show, but they
Yeah.
don't want to look like they're reading it. So, we'll break out, the teleprompter, and they'll download their script via Bluetooth. So
Hmm.
you can Bluetooth that from your phone or your iPod or your laptop right straight onto the teleprompter pad, and then it'll come up, and then you'd have your thing. That happens pretty quickly. So
Yeah, I definitely got to come
so
out there.
yeah, yeah, you got to come out and play with some of our toys, bro.
Yeah, I can see just from here. I want to mess around with those PTZ cameras.
Yeah, you're gonna have fun with those, man. Because
Yeah.
that's also like a little bit of a skill, because like the joysticks are a little bit different than the remote
Remote
control.
control.
And so you can go in here in the menu and you can set the speed of the movement on the PTZs.
Hmm.
And it's if because like if you're working with a couple other devices that you can cut to, and you want to make sure that your PTZ gets to the other person real fast, you want to set it on the fast speed, but you don't want to film with that because it's too fast. It's
Okay.
just like, it's not fast enough where there's no time to be like handheld. You can go here, 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 here. So
You don't want to see the
that,
movement.
yeah, it's too fast to, um,
It's like a whip.
yeah, it's like it's not fast enough so that you can use the highest speed,
Hmm.
and because of that, it's like it's not good for it. The only thing that makes it good is like if you have two other cameras,
You cut it
so
to them.
that you can cut to a static camera while this moves fast to the person you want and then cut back.
Okay.
It's fast enough for that. So you have your PTZ, you shoot, and then you cut, and then you move your PTZ, and then you can come back to your PTZ. So,
Yeah.
but it's not fast enough that you can stay on your PTZ because it's not fast enough. So I recommend having other cameras you can cut to so that you can move your PTZs where you want. And if you have it on the fast setting, you can get there pretty quickly, but it's not quick enough to where you want to. So what I do, if I'm going to use my PTZs to film people, I turn the speed down so
Mm.
that I go from one person to the other person a little bit slow, so you don't get real dizzy, and people kind of know that. They'll give you a pass on that. They can see that
Okay.
you're going, especially if you're close to each other. If you're right next to each other and you do the slow pan over, pan back, people can look too far away and you got a lot of wall in between each person. That's annoying too. So,
Yeah, it definitely could be.
you just you gotta sort all this out in pre-production, as you know, and then then
That's what I'm
then you
learning.
can
Yep.
figure out exact. Yeah, pre-production is where all your angels and demons. You insert more angels and you eliminate more demons in your pre-production.
Once you go live, that's it. It's live.
That's
It's like
it. That's it.
m- much different than
It's
post
like jumping.
production.
It's like jumping out of a plane with your parachute. Once
Yeah,
you're out,
that's
you're
it.
not getting back in.
it's uh, it's kind of nerve wracking at times when live. I'm just trying to get used to it. I'm used to like editing after the fact. I could go back in, make a mistake, say, oh no, let me undo this, take this out, put this in. When it's live, it's like depending on what you're doing, sometimes there's no room for error. It got to be
Yeah,
on point. Everything has to be on
yeah,
point. But
yeah.
what we're doing right
That's the
now,
stress of it.
mm,
That's the stress that comes with the live stuff. You know, there's
definitely.
more work, and it's a little bit more time consuming on the post production stuff. But it's a trade off. It's like, do you
Definitely.
really want to spend the rest of your life editing out all your mistakes, or do you just want to live with what you got live and walk away?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
you gotta make a choice.
exactly. Well, before we close out, tell everybody how they can find you. You know, your website, social media, stuff like that. How people can get a hold of you.
You can find me personally for my talents at podbrother.com. That's got anything I do as far as comedy and DJ, acting, voiceover, anything that's talent that comes out of my head, face, or body is podbrother.com. My network is podbrothernation.com. If you want to distribute some content on there or be a part of our podcast or be a part of anything that we have to do with even creating podcasts or learning how to do a podcast, I have PNN Academy. PNN.org or PNN.com is where you can actually learn how to do some of the stuff we talked about on this show. And then my drive-in movie theater, anything that you want to do there is HollywoodDrive-In-Film-Festival.com. You go there, and that's where you can find all of my inflatable screens, drive-in movie theaters, virtual drive-in comedy shows, stand-up comedians, podcasts on the big screen. That all happens at HollywoodDrive-In-Film-Festival.com. So that's how you can get me.
Okay, cool, cool. And you can reach me at info at Our World Media or jswiftphotos at gmail.com. And my Instagram is at Tech Talk with Swift or at jswiftphotos. Thank you all for watching. Catch you all next time. See you later.